Alright, boys and girls, I am here on the page where we took notes on Thursday. And you can see that we have our title, Place Value Chart. And just a recap, on Thursday we were able to put in all of the place values that represent whole numbers. And now that you've watched the Math Antics video and you've reminded yourself about decimal place value, we're going to go ahead and fill in these pieces. So I'm going to be really careful with what I write in my journal today. Just looking for a quick pencil so that I can make sure that my writing is neat and that it's organized. Hold on just a second. Let me grab that pencil so that if I need to erase, I'm able to do that. Alright. Okay. So, the first place that we're going to go ahead and label when we're looking at our place value chart would be this decimal here. This is our decimal that separates our whole numbers, moving away from the decimal, and our pieces. So this first place is called the tenths. The tenths. And so when I think about the tenths, what I want to think about is a whole. And that whole has been cut into 10 equal pieces. So if I make what looks like a unit bar, and I think about cutting this unit bar vertically into 4 cuts, giving me 5 equal pieces, and then cutting that unit bar in half horizontally. What I've done is I've taken a whole and I've cut it into 10 equal pieces, and this represents 1/10 of the whole. So if I were writing a fraction that would represent that, I would have one piece that's shaded out of a total of 10. I can also think about this in the decimal form as 1/10, because the 1 is in the 10th place. And just remember, if I'm going too quickly for you, you can always pause the video and catch up. So the next place value that we're going to talk about is the hundredths place. And the hundredths place, we're going to go ahead and write that. Remember, these all have a THS at the end. Hundredths, because they're part of the whole. And so what I'm going to do for this picture is I'm not going to make you draw 100 pieces, but I am going to kind of sketch what that might would look like. So again, my hole's the same size. My hole hasn't gotten any bigger or any smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 5 equal pieces vertically. So I'm just going to kind of make those same lines, cutting it in half. But when I have 100 equal pieces, that means there's 10 inside each one of these. So when I look at this and I think about how many equal pieces, they're getting really small. And so 100th would be like one little piece that's shaded here. 1/100th of the whole piece. So to write that as a fraction, I would write 1/100. Or I could write decimal 0 1 because that 1 is in the hundredths place. And again, the farther we get away from the 1, the smaller the piece. Notice that. And so that new place that you're learning here in fifth grade is called the thousandths. The thousandths. So as we write this word, I want you to think about, is this piece going to get bigger or smaller? That's right, boys and girls, this piece is getting smaller. A lot smaller. So there's my whole piece again. And I'm going to use those same marks. I'm going to continue my fifths all the way up, cutting that in half, thinking about 10 being in each one of these, but actually it's not 10 anymore because we're going to cut each 10 into 10 equal pieces, so it becomes 100 in each one of these. And so if we have 10 groups of 100, we have 1,000. And so that piece is going to look like a little bitty tiny piece. So it's gotten much, much smaller. And writing that as a fraction is going to look like 1,000 or decimal 1,000. So the 1 would be in the thousandths place. That's 2 places from the decimal. Okay, so now that we have some pictorial and representations and some fractions and decimal representations, and we've got our place value, what we're going to be doing now is practicing understanding and knowing these place value, the places in order. We need to know the correct order from the decimal. So when we think about the decimal place value, we always write our decimal, and we think going away from this decimal, it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. And then of course in front of the decimal we have our whole numbers, ones, tens, hundreds. Notice there's just an S there, not the THS like you see with your fraction amounts. Okay, boys and girls, it's time for you to practice. That's all of the notes that you're going to be taking on this page.